Hey, boys and girls, this is Miss Reeves. This morning I'm going to be helping you out with your math. You have pages 82, 83, 84, and 85 that you're working on, and we're looking at ways that we can model word problems using two-digit numbers. So we're going to be doing one-step problems with two-digit numbers. So I have in front of you page 82 and 83. It looks just like what you're working on in your packet. We have our problem set up in a table. It says that Todd plays a game. We're not sure how many points he plays for level one because that's our question mark. That's our missing information. We don't know how many points he's earned. Level two, he's earned 16 points, and the total points he's earned is 55. So the question we're trying to figure out is how many points did Todd get when he was playing level one? So the first thing we want to do is make a part whole chart. They're calling it a bar model. We call it a part whole chart. It's the same thing. We have to figure out where our numbers are going to go. We know that the top number is the whole number or the sum of the two smaller numbers. It has to be the largest number. So when we think about the problem, we know that 55 is the largest number that we're going to have because that's the total number of points that Todd won. So 55 is going to go here. And for our two add-ins or our two parts, we have a question mark for level one and then 16 for level two. So this is our missing information we're trying to solve for. When it's time for us to write our equation, we have two different choices. So first, we're going to look at the addition equation. We can say that level one is the first add-in plus 16 equals 55. We know that we cannot add 55 plus 16 because if we do, we're going to get a number larger than 55, and that answer won't make sense because 55 is the total. So 55 has got to be our sum. These are our two add-ins, a missing number plus 16. You can also flip that around and say 16 plus something equals 55 because remember, in addition, the add-ins can go in any order. Another way that you could model this is using subtraction. So you could start with your total. You can start with your whole, which is 55, take away the part of 16, which was what he scored in level two, and then see what you have left for level one. So either way that you do this is okay. You can add or subtract to find the answer, to find what this missing part is. So we're going to look over here and use what's on page 82 to help us answer the questions on page 83. So question 2 says, look at picture it, which is right here, and asks what the question mark means. So when we look at this question mark, we know that when we have a question mark, it's missing information. So that question mark is your missing number. The question mark tells us that we do not know how many points he scored in level one, and that's what we're trying to solve. So the question mark is our missing information. Looking at the second modelet, which is down here, it says write a different subtraction equation that you could use to solve the problem. So here we have 55 minus 16 equals something. If we wanted to write that differently, we know we would have to start at 55 because when we subtract, we must always start with the largest number, the whole number. Instead of taking away 16, we could take away the question mark. So 55 minus how many he made in level one, we don't know, would equal 16. So we could flip those two small parts around and have 55 minus something equals 16. That's a little harder to solve than 55 minus 16. Down here, we're going to look at the problem from the previous page and show our work on the number line, then write our answer. So if I were trying to show my work on this number line, I could start at 55. I could take away 16, which I know is minus 10. I could even then do a minus 5 and a minus 1. It's also perfectly okay to do minus 10 and minus 6 ones, whatever you're comfortable with. I know that 55 minus 10 is 45. And then if I take away 5 more, because I know how to count by fives, I know that that's 40. And then 40 minus 1 is 39. So that's one way that I can solve that this missing number must be 39. Some of us prefer to use addition. So if I wanted to use addition, I could look at the change. I could have 16. I'm trying to count up to 55. And I want to know the change. How many does it take to change 16 points into 55 points? So this time I'm going to count up and I'm going to count the change on top of my number line. So 16 plus 10 is 26. Plus 10 more is 36. Plus 10 more is 46. I don't have a lot of room here, I'm sorry. I know I can't do 10 more because that would be 56. But if I did 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, then I would have 10, 20, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39. It took me 39 hops to get from 16 to 55. So either way, you get that same answer. Sorry that my line is not quite large enough to draw all those humps. Next time I need to make my number line a little bit longer because we know that really instead of 55 being right here, 55 needs to be down here. There we go. So you have a little bit more room that you can spread out on your paper, but trying to draw on the screen is a little bit harder. So remember, for this one, I'm counting the change. Start at 16, I'm going up to 55, and when it's time for me to find my answer, I have to count how I changed that number. How many hops did it take to change 16 into 55? And I still get 39. Question 5 says, how did you make your number line in problem 4? And what's another way to find the answer? We've already done that together because the first time I did it, I made my number line by subtracting 55 minus 16. But another way that I could make that number line is counting up from 16 to get to 55. So those are the two different ways that you could show that. Down here, you have another problem that Matt had 72 sports cards. He got more cards, and now he has 90 cards. How many more cards did he get? When we're trying to solve this problem on a number line, we know that 90 is the largest number of cards that he can have. So I'm going to put 90 on this end of the number line. I know that he started with 72, and I'm trying to find the change. So I want you guys to practice on your own, jumping up by 10s, 72, 82, 82 up to 90. And when you're done, you've got to count your jumps. Count how you changed 72 to 90 and see how many more it took. Okay, so those are your first two pages. Your next two pages, pages 84 and 85. Once again, page 84 just kind of tells you what to do on 85. So for 84, it says that some books were on a shelf. The students took 24 books from the shelf, and then there were 38 books on the shelf. How many books were on the shelf to begin with? So this one is a little bit different. If we have our part whole chart, we have the total books at the top, because that would be the sum, the total is the largest number. Our two small parts are the books that they took away from the shelf and the books that they left on the shelf. So for this one, we know our two small numbers. We're missing our whole, we're missing our sum. We know that 24 books got taken off the shelf, 38 books got left on the shelf. We've got to work to figure out how many were on the shelf to begin with. So looking at the equation over here, we have a couple of different ways that we can do it. The first one is asking us to start with our whole number. Well, we don't know that. So we have to put a question mark. I'm going to use a smaller pen. The question mark is the missing information. We don't know the whole number, but we do know that it will be the same as 24 plus 38. So if we put 24 and 38 together, if we combine them with addition, we're going to get that whole number. Another way that we could do that is to say, I don't know the whole number. And the whole number always comes first when I subtract. So my question mark has to come first. But I know if I have that whole number and I take 24 books off the shelf, that there are going to be 38 left. So these are two different ways that you could solve this with addition or subtraction. Number 8 says write a different addition equation that you could use to solve the problem. Well, in this one, we have the sum first. Why don't we flip that around and say 24 plus 38 equals something. We've got our two add-ins, and we're going to have to put them together to get our sum. Okay, so what was the total number of books on the shelves to begin with? Show your work. We have 24 plus 38. Now, you guys know that you could use a number line. So you can start at 38. You could jump up 2 tens and 4 ones. And when you have 38, you change it by adding 24. Your answer would be what you landed on. Or we've also used models. So you're perfectly welcome to draw that tens and ones chart. 24 plus 38. Remember, we start with our babies and count them up. And if we get to 10, we have to make a new 10. If we get 10 ones, we have to make a new 10 to find our answer. This one says, how did your partner solve the problem? Write about it. That's going to be difficult for you to do because you're at home. You don't have a partner, but you could talk to your parent about how you are solving the problem. So you could write about, did you solve the problem using a number line, or did you solve the problem using models or a different strategy? The last one, try it, says that students are helping clean out the park. At noon, 33 students went home. There are 48 students left. How many students started? Show your work. So why don't we start with a part whole chart? We have two numbers, 48 and 33. Let's figure out which one is our whole number, or if our whole number is the missing information. Students are helping clean the park. At noon, 33 students went home. There are 48 students left. How many students started? Well, if I have the two parts, because this is the part that went home, and these are the parts that are left, I know I must be missing my whole number because the amount of students that started is going to be larger than the group that left and the group that are still there. So to solve that, I'm going to say 48 plus 33 equals something. And once again, I'm going to let you work that out on your own by either starting at 48 and jumping up 33 on a number line or drawing models for 48 plus 33. Hope that video helped you with your 2 pages. And I'll be making another video for you tomorrow to explain the next part of your worksheets. Bye, guys.